They thought I was weak because I always gave in. They were wrong. I was just waiting for the right moment to show them what real strength looks like. Hi, I'm Maya, and this is the story of what happened when my family decided they were too busy to attend the most important day of my life. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, stay until the end of this video. I promise you'll see that sometimes standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. And if this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to support stories like this. I was 16 when my mom died, breast cancer, stage 4, 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. My dad, Dave, was a shell of himself for a year. Then he met Linda at a grief support group. Ironic, right? She'd lost her husband 2 years earlier and had 2 kids, Brittany, 12, and Kyle, 10. Dad remarried when I turned 18. I remember standing in the courthouse in a dress I'd borrowed from my best friend, watching him say "I do" to a woman I barely knew. Linda smiled at me afterward and said, "We're a family now." But families don't usually start with one member sacrificing everything while the others take and take and take. I'd been accepted to State University with a partial scholarship. I was going to study accounting. But 3 weeks before classes started, Dad sat me down at the kitchen table. Linda and the kids were out shopping. "Maya, honey," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Linda's still getting child support, but it's not much. And I'm covering the mortgage, the car payments. I know you wanted to go to college, but maybe you could take a year off. Work full-time? Help us get on our feet?" A year turned into 14 years. I got a job at a local accounting firm as a junior bookkeeper. No degree required, just basic math skills and attention to detail. I worked 45 hours a week and sent most of my paycheck home. Dad said it was temporary. Linda said I was so mature for my age. Brittany and Kyle said nothing. They were too busy enjoying the stability my paychecks provided. When Brittany turned 18, she wanted to go to college. Marketing. She had dreams of working for a cosmetics company, traveling the world, being someone important. And you know what? I paid for it. $40,000 over 4 years. I picked up freelance bookkeeping on weekends, worked until 2 in the morning sometimes, lived in a studio apartment that cost $600 a month and ate ramen 3 times a week. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody asked if I still had dreams. By the time I was 30, I'd managed to scrape together enough for a down payment on a 2-bedroom condo. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. And then Dad called. "Maya, we need to talk about our living situation," he said. "The landlord's raising our rent. We can't afford it. Could we rent your place? Just for a little while?" I should have said no. But I'd spent 14 years being the person who said yes. They moved in 2 weeks later. Market rent for my condo was $5,200 a month. I charged them $2,800 because family helps family. I kept my studio and continued my double life, working 2 jobs, pretending I was okay, slowly disappearing under the weight of everyone else's needs. The utilities? All in my name. Dad's credit score was shot from some bad decisions in his 20s. Linda had maxed out 3 credit cards after her first husband died. So I became the responsible one. Electric, water, internet, gas, $800 a month, give or take. I paid it. They reimbursed me when they could, which was maybe half the time. And the car, a 2018 Honda Accord, silver, reliable. I bought it with a loan in my name. Dad needed transportation to get to work, and his old truck had finally died. He promised he'd make the payments. He made 3. I made the other 69. This was my life. Wake up, work, send money, sleep. Repeat. I didn't date because I was too exhausted. I didn't have hobbies because I didn't have time. I was a ghost in my own life, haunting the edges of everyone else's happiness. Until I met Jason. It was at a client meeting. He was a software engineer consulting for one of the companies I did bookkeeping for. 35, kind eyes, terrible jokes. He asked me out for coffee. I almost said no. Coffee costs money, and I was saving every penny. But something in his smile made me say yes. That first coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into weekend hikes. Hikes turned into lazy Sunday mornings at his apartment, eating pancakes and watching old movies. For the first time in 14 years, I felt like a person instead of a paycheck. Jason came from a good family, not wealthy, but stable. His parents were still married, his sister was a teacher. They had family dinners on Sundays and actually seemed to enjoy each other's company. It was foreign to me, that kind of uncomplicated love. We dated for 2 years, and then, on a random Tuesday evening in his living room, he got down on one knee. "Maya," he said, "you're the strongest person I've ever met, and I don't want you to have to be strong alone anymore. Will you marry me?" I said yes through tears I didn't know I had left. I called Dad that night. He was watching TV. I could hear some crime show in the background. "Dad, I'm engaged." Silence. Then, "Oh, that's great, honey. Jason seems nice." That was it. No excitement. No questions about the proposal. No, "I'm so happy for you." Just acknowledgement, like I'd told him I'd changed my oil. Linda's response was worse. "Well, I hope you two have a plan. Weddings are expensive. You're not expecting us to help pay for it, are you?" Brittany didn't call. Kyle didn't text. It was radio silence from everyone except Jason's family, who threw us an engagement party and cried happy tears and treated me like I was precious. I planned a small wedding, 50 guests at a vineyard an hour outside the city. Simple but elegant. I could afford it because I'd finally stopped working 2 jobs, Jason insisted, said I deserved to rest. The ceremony was scheduled for June 14th. I sent the invitations 3 months in advance. Hand-addressed envelopes, custom stamps. I'd written a note in Dad's invitation by hand. "Dad, Linda, Brittany, Kyle, I hope you'll be there to walk me down the aisle. It would mean the world to me." 2 weeks before the wedding, I still hadn't heard from them. No RSVP, no call, nothing. I drove to the condo, my condo where they lived. I still had a key. I let myself in, called out a hello. Dad was in the kitchen, making a sandwich. "Hey, Dad, did you get the invitation for the wedding?" He didn't look up from his turkey and cheese. "Yeah, we got it." "And?" "Maya, we'll see. It's a busy time. Brittany's got a work thing. Kyle's doing his thing. Linda's not feeling great." Not feeling great. A work thing. Doing his thing. Excuses wrapped in indifference. I left before I said something I'd regret. Jason picked me up, saw my face, and just held me in the car for 20 minutes while I tried not to cry. 1 week before the wedding, I went back to drop off some mail that had been forwarded to my studio. Dad wasn't home. Linda was on the couch, watching reality TV. I walked to the kitchen to set the mail on the counter. That's when I saw it, a yellow sticky note, stuck to the refrigerator, in my dad's handwriting. "Don't expect us at your wedding. We're busy." Not even a full sentence. Not a letter. Not a conversation. Just 7 words on a 3-inch square of paper. I stood there, staring at it. My hands started shaking. Jason was waiting in the car. I peeled the note off the fridge, feeling the slight resistance of the adhesive. Linda didn't even look up from her show. I walked outside. Jason saw my face and got out of the car. "Baby, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak. I just handed him the note. He read it, and his jaw clenched. Then he looked at me, and his eyes were full of a rage I'd never seen from him before. "Maya, tell me what you want to do." I looked down at the sticky note in my hands. 7 words, 14 years of sacrifice, 40,000 for Brittany's education, nearly 300,000 in lost rent, almost 60,000 in utilities, a car I'd paid for that someone else drove, and this was what I got in return. I tore the note in half, then in half again, then again and again until it was confetti in my palm. I let the pieces fall to the ground and watched them scatter in the evening breeze. "I want to go home," I said, "and then I want to make some phone calls." We drove back to Jason's apartment, our apartment now, really, since I'd moved in 3 months earlier. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and a notepad, doing what I did best, accounting. I calculated everything, every dollar, every payment, every sacrifice. It came to just over $288,000 that I'd invested in a family that couldn't be bothered to show up for me. Jason made coffee at 4 in the morning and sat across from me. "What are you thinking?" he asked quietly. "I'm thinking," I said. that I've spent 14 years being the person who makes things easy for everyone else, and I'm done. I wrote out a list, 3 items. Each one was simple, legal, and completely within my rights. Number 1, cancel the rental agreement. They had 30 days to vacate per the contract I'd made them sign, the one Linda had complained about, saying, "Family doesn't need contracts." Number 2, remove my name from all utilities. They'd have 7 days to set up their own accounts before services were shut off for non-payment. Number 3, transfer the car title fully into my name. It was already there legally since I'd bought it, and then donate it to Cars for Kids or a similar charity. Jason read the list. Then he looked at me. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." "Then I've got your back, whatever you need." The next morning, I sent an email. Formal, professional. No emotion, just business. Dear Dad and Linda, I'm writing to inform you that I will not be renewing our rental agreement. Per our contract, you have 30 days to vacate the property. I will be listing it at market rate starting next month. Thank you for your understanding. Best, Maya. I CC'd Linda. I attached a copy of the lease agreement they'd signed, highlighting the relevant clause. I sent it at 9 a.m. By 9:15, my phone was ringing. Dad's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. He called again, declined. Then Linda called, declined. Brittany, Kyle, declined, declined, declined. They left voicemails. Dad's voice was shaking with anger. "Maya, what the hell is this? You can't just kick us out. Call me back right now." Linda's was shrill. "This is insane. After everything we've done for you, you ungrateful—" I deleted them without listening to the end. Day 2. I called the electric company. "Hi, I need to close my account at this address. Yes, I'm aware there's a balance. I'll pay it off today, and I'd like the service disconnected by the end of next week unless a new account is opened by the current residents. Same with water, internet, gas." The customer service representatives were kind, efficient. They didn't know they were helping me dismantle 14 years of enabling and 20-minute phone calls. I sent a text to Dad. "Heads up, utilities are being transferred. You'll need to set up new accounts by next Friday or services will be shut off." He called immediately. I didn't answer. He texted, "Maya, answer your phone." I didn't. Day 3. I went to the DMV, brought all my paperwork, the original bill of sale, the title showing my name, proof of payment for every single car payment. The clerk processed the title transfer, making sure everything was officially, legally, solely in my name. It took 45 minutes. Then I called Cars for Kids. "Hi, I'd like to donate a vehicle." "Yes, it's paid off." "Yes, I have the title." "Yes, you can pick it up as soon as tomorrow." They were thrilled. They'd send a tow truck. They'd handle everything. All I needed to do was be there to hand over the keys and title. I wasn't going to be there, but I knew who would be. I texted Dad one more time. "The car will be picked up tomorrow at 11 a.m. It's being donated to charity. Consider it my wedding gift to myself." This time, he called from Linda's phone. I'd forgotten to block that number. I answered. "Maya, what the hell is wrong with you?" His voice was so loud that Jason heard it from across the room. I put the phone on speaker. "Nothing's wrong with me, Dad. I'm just busy, like you said." "You can't do this. You can't just take everything away." "I'm not taking anything away. I'm taking back what was always mine." "We're your family." The word hung in the air. Family. I'd heard it so many times over the years. Family helps family. Family sticks together. Family doesn't keep score. "No," I said quietly. "Family shows up. Family says thank you. Family doesn't put 7 words on a sticky note instead of having a conversation." "Maya, please." "I'm getting married in 4 days, Dad. You won't be there. So you won't be in my life anymore either. Goodbye." I hung up. Blocked his number. Blocked Linda's. Blocked Kyle's. Brittany. I hesitated over for a moment, then blocked her too. Jason wrapped his arms around me. I didn't cry. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just an enormous, hollow relief. The tow truck came the next day at 11 a.m. sharp. Dad was at work, his temp job at a warehouse. Linda was home. According to a neighbor who texted me later, someone who'd known me since I was a kid and had always thought Linda was horrible. Linda came running out of the house in her bathrobe, screaming at the driver that there'd been a mistake. The driver showed her the paperwork. My signature, my title, all legal. She called the police. They came, looked at the documents, and told her there was nothing they could do. The car belonged to me. I could donate it if I wanted. Linda stood in the driveway and watched them tow away the car. The neighbor said she was crying. I left a note taped to the front door of the condo, my condo. It said, "The car has been donated to charity. Consider it my wedding gift to myself." That night, my phone buzzed with texts from numbers I didn't recognize. Friends of Linda's, people from Dad's work, even Kyle's friends somehow. How could you do this to your family? You're so selfish. They gave you everything. I turned off my phone. Jason ordered pizza. We watched a movie. We went to bed early because I had a fitting for my wedding dress in the morning, and for the first time in 14 years, I slept through the night. The next few days were chaos for them. Dad called Jason's number, leaving desperate voicemails. Linda somehow found my work email and sent a 10-paragraph rant about how I was destroying their lives. Brittany tried reaching me through social media, her messages swinging between angry and pleading. I didn't respond to any of it. The day before the wedding, Jason's dad asked me if I was okay. We were at the rehearsal dinner, a small gathering at a local restaurant. His parents, his sister, my closest friends, no one from my side of the family. "I'm better than okay," I told him honestly. "I'm free." The morning of my wedding, I woke up in the hotel suite that Jason's parents had booked for me. Sunlight streamed through sheer curtains. My maid of honor, Rachel, my best friend from high school, was already awake, brewing coffee in the little kitchenette. "Big day," she said, handing me a mug. "How are you feeling?" I took a sip, considered the question. "Honestly, lighter than I've felt in years." She smiled. "Good, that's how you should feel." The hair and makeup team arrived at 9. My dress hung on the closet door, ivory lace with a simple silhouette. Nothing extravagant, just beautiful. While the stylist worked on my hair, Rachel's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then at me. "It's a text from a number I don't recognize," she said carefully. "Says she's your sister. Brittany." My stomach tightened. "What does it say?" Rachel hesitated, then read it aloud. "She's asking if there's any way she can come to the wedding. Says she knows she doesn't deserve it, but she wants to be there for you." I met my own eyes in the mirror. The woman looking back at me had spent 14 years saying yes when she should have said no. "Tell her no," I said. Politely, but no. Rachel typed quickly, then set her phone down. Done. By 11, I was dressed. The photographer took pictures of me alone, then with Rachel and the other bridesmaids, 2 co-workers who'd become friends, women who'd supported me through the chaos of the past week. None of them asked about my family. They already knew. The ceremony was at 2 p.m. Jason's father, Robert, knocked on the door at 1:30. He was in his 60s, with silver hair and the same kind eyes as his son. He wore a navy suit and a nervous smile. "Maya," he said, "I know this is unconventional, but would you allow me to walk you down the aisle? I'd consider it the greatest honor of my life." My throat closed. I'd been so focused on everything else that I hadn't thought about this moment. The walk, the tradition, the father giving away the daughter. "I would love that," I managed. He offered his arm and I took it. The vineyard was perfect. Rows of grapevines stretched into the distance under a cloudless June sky. White chairs faced an arbor draped in flowers. 50 people, friends, colleagues, Jason's extended family, turned to watch as I walked down the grass aisle on Robert's arm. Jason stood at the altar in a charcoal suit, and when our eyes met, he smiled so wide I thought my heart might burst. Robert placed my hand in Jason's and whispered, "You're the daughter I always wished I had." Then he stepped back, wiping his eyes. The officiant, a friend of Jason's from college who'd gotten ordained online, began the ceremony. I barely heard the words. I was too focused on Jason's face, on the way he looked at me like I was something precious and rare. When it came time for vows, Jason went first. "Maya, you taught me that family isn't always blood. It's the people who show up, who stay, who love you even when you're hardest to love. You spent years being everything for everyone else. I promise to spend the rest of my life making sure you know you're enough just as you are. You don't have to earn love. You already have all of mine. I was crying before he finished, happy tears for once. I took a shaky breath and began my vows. Jason, you gave me something I never had. Unconditional love. You saw me when I was invisible. You valued me when I felt worthless. You taught me that asking for help isn't weakness, and that I deserve to take up space in this world. I promise to give you the same love you've given me every single day. Thank you for showing me what family really means. We kissed, and everyone cheered, and I became Maya Chen. A new name for a new life. The reception was in a barn adjacent to the vineyard, strung with fairy lights and decorated with wildflowers. We had a small band, a simple menu, and a cake that Rachel had secretly arranged to have decorated with our favorite quote. And so the adventure begins. During dinner, Jason's brother-in-law, Mike, stood to give a speech. He was a high school English teacher, good with words, and he'd only known me for 2 years, but what he said made the entire room go quiet. Maya, you're the strongest person I know. Not because you never break, but because you always rebuild. You took everything life threw at you and turned it into something beautiful. We're honored to call you family. Everyone stood, 50 people applauding for the girl who'd been invisible for so long. I looked around the room, at the faces of people who chose to be there, who wanted to celebrate with me, and I realized something. I didn't lose a family. I found a better one. Just before the first dance, my phone buzzed in the little clutch I'd carried. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. An email. From an address I didn't recognize, but the name in the subject line was familiar. Brittany. Subject. I'm sorry. I opened it. Maya, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know, I didn't realize what you did for me until it was too late. Mom told me yesterday that you paid for my entire college education, all $40,000. I thought it was loans. I thought I'd earned it on my own. I didn't know. I should have known. I should have asked. I should have seen you. You deserved so much better than what we gave you, which was nothing. Congratulations on your wedding. I hope Jason knows how lucky he is. I hope one day I can be half as strong as you. I'm sorry. Brittany. I stared at the screen. Jason appeared beside me with 2 glasses of champagne. Everything okay? He asked. I showed him the email. He read it, then looked at me. What do you want to do? I slipped the phone back into my clutch. Nothing. Not today. Today is ours. He kissed my forehead. Smart woman. We had our first dance to Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. The lyrics felt prophetic. Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. I'd spent so long living someone else's story. This was mine now. The rest of the evening blurred into a perfect haze of dancing, laughter, cake cutting, and toasts. Rachel caught the bouquet. Jason's nephew stole a bottle of champagne and got tipsy in the vineyard before anyone noticed. His grandmother told me scandalous stories about Robert's wild youth that made everyone laugh until they cried. At 11 p.m., Jason and I snuck away. We'd rented a cabin in the mountains for the week. No phones, no internet, just us. As we drove away from the vineyard, I looked back one last time at the lights, the celebration, the people who'd chosen to be there. I didn't feel sad about who wasn't there. I felt grateful for who was. 3 weeks later, reality set in for Dad and Linda. They'd been living in Brittany's 1-bedroom apartment since the eviction. Brittany had her own place, a small spot downtown that she could barely afford on her marketing salary, but she'd let them stay temporarily. Temporarily turned into a nightmare. I knew this because Brittany called. I'd unblocked her number after the honeymoon, though I hadn't reached out. She left a voicemail. Maya, it's Brittany. I know I have no right to call you, but I need advice. Mom and Dad are destroying my life. They fight constantly. Dad lost his job at the warehouse, showed up late too many times because they don't have a car. Mom's working at a grocery store part-time, but it's not enough. They can't afford their own place because their credit is terrible and they need first, last, and deposit. Kyle's sleeping on my couch and he doesn't have a job either. I don't know what to do. I'm drowning. I wanted you to know I finally understand what you went through, and I'm so, so sorry. Jason was washing dishes when I played the message on speaker. He dried his hands and turned to look at me. How do you feel? He asked. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to help her, but another part of me knows this isn't my problem to solve anymore. What does your gut say? I thought about it, really thought about it. My gut says I can talk to her, get coffee. But I'm not fixing this for her. She needs to figure it out just like I did. That sounds healthy, I texted Brittany. I'm open to coffee sometime. Let's start small. We met the following Saturday at a cafe near Jason's apartment. Brittany looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt. She'd always been so put together before. She stood when I arrived, awkward. Thank you for meeting me. Sit, I said, not unkindly. We ordered coffee. She got a latte. I got black coffee. Cheaper, and old habits die hard, even when you don't need them anymore. I didn't know, she started before I'd even sat down. I swear to God, Maya, I didn't know you paid for my school. I thought... Mom said it was loans. She said I'd have to pay them back someday. I didn't know it was you working 2 jobs, living in that terrible studio. I didn't know. Ignorance doesn't erase the fact that I was invisible to you, I said quietly. She flinched. You're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't ask. I didn't care. I was so focused on my own life that I never stopped to wonder why you never seemed to have one. Why are you telling me this now? Because I see you now. Her voice cracked. And I'm sorry it took losing you for me to realize what you gave us, what we took from you. I sipped my coffee. It was bitter, but I needed the caffeine. Brittany, I appreciate your apology. I do, but I'm not ready to have a full relationship with you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I need you to understand that. I do, she said quickly. I don't expect anything from you. I wanted you to know that you deserved better, and that I'm trying to be better. We talked for an hour. She told me about her job. She'd gotten promoted to senior marketing coordinator, was making decent money but was barely scraping by after helping support 3 adults who refused to help themselves. She told me Dad had tried to get disability but was denied. That Linda blamed her for not taking care of family the way Maya had. She actually said that to me, Brittany said, laughing bitterly. She said, Maya always helped without complaining. Why can't you be more like her? I almost lost it. I told her maybe if she'd appreciated Maya while she was here, she wouldn't have lost her. What did she say? She didn't. She just left the room. But Dad... She trailed off. What about Dad? He's different now, quieter. I think he's finally realizing what he lost. But it's too late, isn't it? I didn't answer right away. I don't know, Brittany. All I know is that I spent 14 years waiting for him to see me. I'm not waiting anymore. We parted with a hug, brief, uncertain, but real. She promised to keep me updated on her life, but not to burden me with Dad and Linda's problems. I promised to consider meeting again. On the drive home, Jason asked how it went. Better than I expected, I said. Worse than I hoped. What does that mean? It means she's trying. But trying doesn't undo 14 years. I'm not sure it ever will. 2 months after the wedding, a letter arrived at our apartment, not an email. A real letter, handwritten on lined paper in an envelope with a stamp. The return address was Brittany's apartment, but the handwriting was Dad's. Jason found it in the mail and brought it to me. I was curled up on the couch, reading a book. I saw the envelope and my stomach dropped. Do you want me to read it first? He asked gently. No, I need to do this. I opened it carefully, like it might explode. Inside were 2 pages, front and back, covered in Dad's familiar scrawl. Maya, I failed you. Not just on your wedding day, but for the last 14 years. I let Linda treat you like an obligation instead of my daughter. I let your siblings take from you without gratitude. I let you carry burdens that were never yours to carry. I was supposed to protect you after your mom died. Instead, I used you. I told myself it was temporary, that once we got on our feet, I'd make it up to you. But there was always another bill, another crisis, another reason to lean on you. And you never said no. I mistook your kindness for weakness. I thought you'd always be there. I took you for granted. I let you disappear. The sticky note. God, Maya. I was angry that day. Linda had been complaining about your wedding plans, saying you were being selfish for not inviting more family, for not having a bigger reception. I snapped. I wrote that note to shut her up, to make her feel like we were united. But it was cruel. It was the cruelest thing I've ever done, and I didn't even have the courage to tell you to your face. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know. I see it now. I see what we did to you. What I did to you, and I'm sorry. I know that doesn't change anything. I know I can't take it back, but I hope Jason treats you the way I should have. I hope he sees your strength and your worth. I hope he never makes you feel invisible. I love you, Maya. I'm sorry it took losing you to remember that, Dad. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully, put it back in the envelope, and placed it in the drawer of my nightstand. Jason sat next to me. Are you going to reply? Not yet, I said. Maybe never. But at least now I know. He finally saw me. Is that enough? It's something, I said, but it's not everything. I started therapy 3 months after the wedding. Jason's mom, Patricia, a warm woman who'd welcomed me like her own daughter, suggested it gently over Sunday dinner. Honey, she said, I know you're doing well. But processing everything you've been through, that's not something you have to do alone. Have you thought about talking to someone? At first, I resisted. Therapy felt self-indulgent, expensive, unnecessary. But Jason supported the idea. You've spent 14 years taking care of everyone else, he said. Let someone take care of you for once. I found a therapist named Dr. Sarah Lynn through my insurance. She was in her 50s, kind but direct, with a no-nonsense approach that I appreciated. In our first session, she asked what brought me in. I told her everything: the sticky note, the money, the years of sacrifice, the wedding without family, the letter from Dad that I hadn't answered. She listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she set down her pen and looked at me. Maya, do you know what parentification is? I shook my head. It's when a child is forced to take on adult responsibilities, emotional, financial, or physical, before they're developmentally ready. Often, it happens when a parent is unable or unwilling to fulfill their role, so the child steps in to fill the gap. Something clicked in my mind. That's what happened to me. Yes, you lost your mother at 16. That's traumatic. But instead of being allowed to grieve, you became a provider. You became the parent. That's not your fault, Maya. That was an impossible situation you were put in. I felt tears building. I thought I was just being helpful. You were being a child who wanted to keep her family together. But the adults in your life should have protected you. They should have said, no, Maya, this isn't your responsibility. They didn't, and that failure belongs to them, not to you. Over the next few months, Dr. Lynn and I worked through layers of guilt, anger, and grief I didn't know I'd been carrying. She taught me about boundaries, not just setting them, but enforcing them without guilt. Boundaries aren't walls, she explained. They're doors. You get to decide who walks through. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, that I could acknowledge my father's apology without welcoming him back into my life, that I could wish them well from a distance without sacrificing my peace. And slowly, I started to feel lighter. 4 months after the wedding, Brittany called, not to ask for help, but to tell me something. I told Mom and Dad they need to leave, she said. I can't do this anymore. It's destroying my mental health. How did they react? Mom screamed, called me selfish, said I was just like you. I told her maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Maya had the right idea all along. And Dad? He didn't say anything. He just looked sad. They're moving into a motel next week. It's all they can afford. I felt a pang of something. Not quite guilt, but close. Are you okay? I'm getting there, she said. I started therapy too, trying to figure out why I let them treat me like that, why I let them treat you like that. That's good, Brittany. Really good. Maya, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think we'll ever be close, like real sisters? I considered the question honestly. I don't know. Maybe. But it won't be the relationship we could have had if things were different. We're starting from scratch. And that takes time. I can do time, she said. I owe you that. We started meeting for coffee once a month. She told me about her therapy sessions, her struggles with setting boundaries, her growing resentment toward Linda, and her complicated love for Dad. I listened, offered advice when asked, but mostly just let her talk. She never asked me for money. She never asked me to fix things. She was trying to stand on her own the way I'd had to. And slowly, carefully, we built something new. Not sisterhood, not yet, but the foundation of what might become one someday. 1 year after the wedding, Jason and I hosted Thanksgiving at our apartment. We'd moved to a bigger place, 2 bedrooms, an actual dining room, space to breathe. I'd been promoted to senior accountant. Jason had gotten a raise. We were comfortable finally, after years of me never being comfortable. Jason's family came. His parents, his sister, and her husband, their 2 kids. Rachel came with her new boyfriend, 2 co-workers I'd grown close to, and Brittany. I'd invited her hesitantly. You don't have to come, I'd said. No pressure. I want to, she'd replied. If you'll have me. She arrived with wine and flowers, nervous but trying. Jason's mom welcomed her warmly, asking about her job, her apartment, her life. Brittany relaxed as the afternoon went on. During dinner, Patricia asked everyone to share something they were grateful for. When it came to me, I looked around the table at these people, my chosen family, my found family, and felt my throat tighten. I'm grateful for second chances, I said, for people who show up, for learning that family isn't about blood, it's about choice, and I'm grateful I finally chose myself. Jason squeezed my hand under the table. Brittany's eyes were wet. After dinner, she pulled me aside in the kitchen while we were washing dishes. Thank you, she said quietly, for giving me a chance. I know I don't deserve it. Maybe you do, I said. Maybe we both deserve a fresh start. She hugged me, and this time, I hugged her back without hesitation. That night, after everyone left and Jason was loading the dishwasher, I found myself thinking about Dad's letter, still in my nightstand drawer. I'd read it a dozen times over the past year, looking for something I couldn't name. Closure, maybe, or permission to move on. I pulled it out and read it one more time. Then I got a piece of paper and wrote my own letter. Not to send, just to write, to get the words out of my head and onto something real. Dad, I got your letter. I've read it many times. I believe you're sorry. I believe you finally understand what you did. But sorry doesn't undo 14 years. It doesn't give me back the college education I never got. It doesn't give me back my 20s. It doesn't give me back the relationship we could have had if you'd chosen me even once. I don't hate you. I don't wish bad things for you. But I don't want you in my life anymore. Not because I'm cruel, but because I'm choosing peace. I spent so long waiting for you to see me, and now that you do, it's too late. I've built a life without you, a good life, a life where I'm valued and loved and seen every single day. And I won't risk that for the hope that you might do better this time. I hope you're okay. I hope you learn to stand on your own. But I'm done being the person who catches you when you fall. I'm finally catching myself. Goodbye, Dad. Maya. I folded the letter and put it in the drawer with his. I didn't send it. I didn't need to. Writing it was enough. Jason appeared in the doorway. You okay? Yeah, I said, and I meant it. I really am. He smiled. Come to bed. We've got brunch with Mom and Dad tomorrow. His parents, our parents, the ones who showed up. I took his hand and followed him out of the room, leaving the letters behind in the darkness. They thought I was weak because I always gave in. But walking away isn't weakness. It's survival. It's strength. It's choosing yourself when no one else will. 1 year ago, I tore up a sticky note. Today, I'm building a life that no one can tear down. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, remember this. You don't owe anyone your peace, not even the people who share your blood. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, and sometimes the people who love you most are the ones you choose. Thank you for staying until the end of my story. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. Share your story in the comments if you feel comfortable. You're not alone, and you deserve better. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.